setting, pero na-apply ko siya in like my everyday setting. So yeah, that's something na I think very nice din sa PE webinars.
Ah,
Yung hindi lang siya sa isang aspect ng life mo na-apply mo siya in a lot of aspects. So, yon.
yes, and we hope na just like Daffy, you are also able to apply what you've learned in our webinars in the other aspects of your life as well. That's why we're going to learn about the last topic in our series, Building Emotionally Intelligent Leaders. So again, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gabby, and I'm the Learning and Development Officer of Positive Workplaces. And hosting with me this afternoon is Daffy. Go ahead, Daffy.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I am Daffy, a training and development intern of Positive Workplaces. And together with us behind the screen, we have Joyce and Mary. Yay!
Hey, so again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We'd love to know if there are any first timers in our P webinars in the room. Please type in one if you are a first timer in our chat box. Because we'd love to give you that warm PW welcome. So salamat, maraming salamat sa pagpunta nyo ngayong hapon. Madami-dami, no, Daffy?
Oo nga. Wow, ang dami pa rin palang first timers kahit like every week natin siyang ginagawa.
Totoo. And for the first timers, can you let us know where you found out about our free webinars? So maybe you can let us know if you found it out through Facebook, kung may nag-invite ba sa inyo ng friend, or pina-attend kayo ng boss nyo. Pwede or yung kayo yung pina-attend ng employees nyo. Pwede rin, di ba? Pwede rin other way.
Yeah. O meron nagsabi from Facebook, parang madaming nagsabing from Facebook. Tapos may nagsabi din na from my coworker.
Yeah.
Then sa Heart to Speak page daw galing.
Hi,
Email, office email. Wow, from their corporate email din daw galing.
Wow, that's so nice, Danilo. Maybe you can share with us kung saan kayong office galing.
Yeah.
Pati si Shari and si Nancy, oh. It's from
Kasi
their...
meron ding nagsabi dito na from their company advisory daw. Wow!
Wow! Si Sandra naman, she's an acquaintance of the resource speaker this afternoon. So we're really excited to have her here as well. Yeah. So si Maria din galing sa FB. Ano pa nakikita mo?
Actually, madaming nagsasabi na from email daw, tapos corporate emails, invite from their HR.
Yeah, and a lot of them are MJ's friends, so that's really, really great. So welcome to Positive Workplaces. Okay, so this is what we do on Wednesdays. We really share different topics on well-being, positive psychology, and leadership. Because our mission is to co-create cultures that enhance the well-being of the Filipino workforce. So we know that we spend almost a third of our lives every day, pati dun sa buong buhay natin na nagtatrabaho. Kaya we really want for us to create a meaningful space where we can do meaningful work. And we are able to make those positive cultures through what we call the positive ripples. So para din sa mga first-timers, kaya nila nasabi yung ripplers kanina. Kasi positivity ripples yung basis kung bakit natin ginagawa tong mga webinars natin. So it really all starts with leading yourself. So thank you for investing your time so that you can learn different skills, diba, to apply positive psychology and even organizational development and leadership skills in your workplace. Because when you are able to apply these skills, that's when you are able to lead others, to lead cultures, and create what you call those positive workplaces. But before we start, I'm gonna pass over the floor to Daffy to give us some reminders.
Okay, so for the reminders, before we start our webinar, have another device with you kasi we'll be sending links for interactions like Pigeonhole for the Q&A and Mentimeter for an activity para ready kayo makaparticipate. Don't worry, we'll also be sending the links in the chat box later, kaya it's totally okay if the device you're using is the same device for these interactions. Next, have a pen and paper ready to take notes of what you learned sa ating discussion. For sure, marami tayong matututunan today and pwede nating mabalikan ito using our notes. Then, we encourage engagement in the chat box, but please be reminded lang to be respectful to everyone, okay? Tapos, the link for the evaluation form will be given at the end of the webinar for those in the Zoom room only. So make sure to stay until the end to be able to get your e-certificates. And filing the evaluation form, tandaan po natin ang acronym na TEN, which stands for title, email, and name. Make sure na yung title is the same ng sa webinar for today. Your email should also be working because this is where we'll be sending your e-certificates. And lastly, make sure your full name is spelled correctly since your e-certificates are automatically generated. Some last reminders lang din. If you have any concerns about evaluations or certificates, you may email us at engage@positiveworkplaces.org. We will only entertain inquiries up to 1 week after the event. Please be kind to Joyce and when sending your inquiries in general.
Yes, we also would like to remind each and every one of you that when we give feedback in the evaluation forms, let's use yung mga natutunan natin about communication, about giving feedback, so that we will really maintain that respectful environment and that people will be receptive to the feedback that we give. Ayan, so Daphne, I think we're ready to tackle. Grabe no, parang sino dito yung feeling nila na, oo, magtatapos pa lang yung February, pero parang half na ng taon yung nagdaan. Pwede nyo bang, pwede nyo kayo mag-raise ng hand, pwede kayo maglagay ng thumbs up in the chat box. Who among you feel that way? Marami bang nakaka-relate sa amin ni Daffy? Si Daffy pareho pa, oh, thumbs up.
Feel ko talaga yon. Parang ang dami na nangyari. 2 buwan pa lang ng 2024.
Diba? Parang ang dami nang nangyari. And tingnan mo nga, patapos na tayo dito sa ano natin ngayon. Dun sa series natin ngayon. So thank you everyone. Sending support, sending hugs and validations. If you're tired, thank you pa rin for going here. And we hope that this will kind of refuel and energize you as we enter the new month. So this month, we've been talking about building emotionally intelligent leaders, and we started with April's talk on maximizing feedback. I'm curious, how many of you remember the tip that April gave regarding giving feedback? Ano yung binigay niyang framework? Ano yung binigay niyang yan, si Gian. Feeling ko si Gian din yung huling nakatawa. Sina Alessia, si Marie Chris, it's been, di ba? It's behavior. Ano ba yung behavior? Ano yung naging impact nun? And what are the next steps that person can do to either maintain or enhance their performance? Or ano yung next steps that they can take na kung negative impact yung nabigay nun, ano ba yung mga behaviors na kailangan nilang matutunan para, 'di ba, para mas ma-enhance pa yung impact or mag-improve yung impact that they have in our workplace. And then next, we had Puso sa Pamumuno, how to design productive workplaces with empathy. I'm curious, what do you remember or what is your main takeaway from Selena and Gerson's talk last week? Ang dami, di ba? Si Sabon. Si Sabon yung naalala niya. Yes, si JM sabi niya it's from Habi. And di ba Habi yung framework na ginamit nila?
Yeah. Parang sabi ni Vincent, yung bukas, daloy, sarado.
Yes, di ba pag nagko-conduct tayo ng mga meetings or like ng brainstorming sessions, di ba? May bukas, may daloy at sarado. Meron ding nakaalala ng safe at lahat tayo kasali. So we're really happy that you're able to remember all these things and we hope you had time or opportunities to practice this. But this afternoon, dadagdagan pa natin ulit, okay, ng isa pang skill, yung mga natutunan nyo na this February. And we're going to talk about the underestimated power of small talks, how to have more energizing and meaningful conversations this afternoon. Daffy, would you like to introduce our speaker this afternoon?
Sure. I'm so excited to introduce our speaker who has a passion for learning. Mary Jed, or as she wants us to call her MJ, graduates from the School of Positive Psychology, the pioneer education and training facility in Singapore and Asia, established to promote art, science, and practice of positive psychology. She completed her postgraduate degree in applied positive psychology with high honors. She is featured by Asia Pacific podcasts such as The Positive Arena and She Networks Asia and is sought after by many reputable and repeat clients. Armed with almost a decade of combined facilitation experience both in local and international venues, MJ deploys her knowledge and applied positive psychology in her most recent projects. Currently, she creates immersive public speaking experiences that empower people to grow into confident and authentic communicators using the tools and techniques from positive psychology through her brand called Hard to Speak. MJ believes that human beings can do plenty of meaningful things and create a lasting positive impact in society. Everyone, let us give her a virtual round of applause, our guest speaker this afternoon, MJ.
Thank you so much. Maayong hapon, magandang hapon. Hello everybody. And if you're watching the recorded version, hi also. My name is MJ and I will be your speaker and facilitator for this afternoon. And I'm very, very honored to be able to have this opportunity to share some impactful and meaningful tools from positive psychology and learn how we can harness the power of small talk, not only in our day to day lives, but also at work where we spend most of our time, no? As Gabby has mentioned earlier on. So, again, my name is MJ. I'm very happy to meet you all. I also saw some familiar faces and names. Welcome. So I just have a few things to share with you. So yung slides ko will be my background. So if you can see, so you can see both the slides and me. No, if you have any questions, feel free to ask via the chat, and Gabby and Daffy will help me to get my attention if there are any questions moving forward. So let me just go ahead and see if I can pin my video. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so let's start. I'm just going to share with you a little bit about myself. So currently I'm doing a lot of trainings and facilitation. So I'm doing consultancy work as well in the city of Mandaue here in Cebu. So that's me in Manila when I had pleasure of running a conference for ship captains, very tough, big guys, and I'm the only female there. So power. Also, positive psychology is the framework of Heart to Speak, which is my personal brand. And I've been working with many organizations also like Shell, Google, we have LGUs, PADS, PNA Grant Thornton, and also a lot of different countries like Malaysia, Singapore, India, and the like. So, Hard to Speak is really an immersive experience that is embracing diversity as well. So, it's my personal brand, as I mentioned. A little background kasi, I worked in Singapore for a couple of years when I was around 22. So, I was very, very young. And I started off with nothing, like no safety net, and my job there was to facilitate events, no, for uh, very big organizations already. And most of the time, I meet people who would look at me from head to toe and sometimes tell me right in my face na I'm too young to make a difference. I'm too young to impart knowledge. And in fact, I was kasi I'm still 22 and I'm meeting CEOs, CFOs, and very high positions na no sa organization. And I felt really insecure about myself. I thought, what if I just decide to go home, right? What if I pack my bags and say, okay, bahala na, I'm just going to return home where it's comfortable. But I did not. What I did was I strove hard, no? I decided to spend my savings to send myself to school in Singapore. So that was when I decided to invest in my learning, invest in my education. And I'm one of the few Filipinos who graduated from the School of Positive Psychology in Applied Positive Psychology course. So that was a testament to myself that the investment I actually brought myself to do is not for Singapore, but it's for the Philippines. So that's when I decided to go home and share the tools and knowledge I got from what I studied to us here sa Philippines, to you who are attending this right now. So from my experience, I thought baka may mga tao na mai-inspire or mai-encourage on how you can embrace your authentic selves, how you can communicate even though you're afraid, even though you're shaking, even though your heart is beating really, really fast and parang ayaw mo talagang mag-speak up kasi nakakatakot. What if I use my experience there in Singapore surviving and make it as a source of strength and inspiration for the Filipino people. So that's why I decided to create Heart to Speak. So it is actually about encouraging us to embrace our authentic selves and to lean into our discomfort so we can communicate wholeheartedly. And at the same time, there's also what we call community involvement. So the proceeds actually that I gain from Heart to Speak is also donated to the community or a beneficiary. So I believe Ate Liza is also here attending the session. They are actually the first beneficiary of Heart to Speak in 2020 when I created it. There's a school in the mountainous areas here in Cebu with no access or very little access to module related resources. So we actually used the Heart to Speak income for them. And then the Odette happened and then stuff like that. So this year I will be traveling to Cagayan. So they will be the beneficiary for Heart to Speak this year. So as you can see, it's actually a thread, no, very beautiful community involvement, and there's a lot of connection going on with Heart to Speak and positive workplaces. So I'm very grateful that I'm given this opportunity this afternoon. So without further ado, I'd like to share with you now what you will be expecting from our learning experience today. So first things first, just relax. Again, if you have tension on your shoulder or you're clenching your jaw, I encourage everybody to loosen the tension on your shoulder, unclench your jaw, and just take in a nice deep inhale with your nose and exhale slowly through your mouth. Wonderful. Next one, number 2, is be curious. I will be sharing with you very useful and practical tools. However, it pays to be curious kasi if we just let the information flow from one ear to the other, then the time you spent here would be fruitless. So be curious and try to absorb as much as you can by writing down notes. Last but not the least is have fun. This is going to be an interactive, immersive experience. So please do have fun. This afternoon, in the few hours that we have together, we're going to achieve these outcomes. Number 1 is know how to engage in high quality conversations. Second, overcome the feeling of awkwardness in communicating. After all, we're talking about small talk, and it really is very, very awkward to do small talk unless you're an extrovert, no? It comes naturally. But for most of us, it's really awkward. Number 3 is learn how to transform small talk into meaningful connections. So these are the things that we will expect to gain from our talk today. All right, let's do a little bit of an icebreaker. I actually prepared a few questions, and what you will be doing is you're going to access Mentimeter, a specific code, and you will just be answering those questions. So I'm going to just share my screen, and the Mentimeter link or code will also be accessible through the chat function. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the first question. I'm just going to here. So the first question is, what one thing are you grateful for today? Sige. It can be as simple as, your cup of coffee or maybe the weather. What is the one thing that you are grateful for today? Wow, coffee tastes good. Whoa, good for you. That's nice. All right. Waking up, we have good health, wonderful family, aircon. Yes, so hot outside, no? And the aircon is just really We think that there's aircon. Alive, pets, not moody today, waking up. Yes, pets, cup of tea, another day to start. Croissant. Wow. All right. That's nice. Opportunity to learn. Wonderful. So there's, as you can see, napaka-diverse talaga ng mga bagay-bagay na nakapagpapasaya sa atin or the things that we're grateful for. But I'd love for all of us to zoom in our attention into this one specific common denominator. That is, these things are very simple and very ordinary, and yet we feel positive emotions when we look back at the things that we're grateful for. So, according to Barbara Fredrickson, one of my favorite positive psychology practitioner, she actually is a proponent of Broden and Build theory. Sabi niya na our positive emotions don't just make us feel good. They actually expand our choices para hindi tayo narrow-minded. So the more we link ourselves into things we're grateful for, the more broad our choices become. So thank you, thank you. That's the first question. I love it. Ganda ng mga answers, no? Being with my mom, arrived safely here at work. Wonderful. Sige. Are we ready for... Oh, it's actually 186 responses only and we are 1,000. So I would love to challenge all of us to try and answer the next question. Okay? Here we go. Here is the second question. What's the one thing that you achieved recently and you are proud of? So, ano yung isang bagay na you achieved recently? So, it can be like, for example, oh, you read one chapter of a book. Oh, I'm so proud of myself for doing that. Or you actually started exercising after a hiatus, or you spoke to someone in your family you haven't spoken to for a long time. Parang ganon. It can be also very small things. Doesn't have to be big, like, oh, I finally bought that house and lot I want. Sana all. Not being late to work, conquering my fear. Yes, wonderful. Got my license. Congratulations. Buy a kubo. Wow. Build water pump. Look at that. Helping a coworker. Just look at the answers here. And I think the responses before the first question was 187. I challenge you to surpass that number. So we're at 104 now. Yeah. Okay. Stick to my budget. Hey, that's very difficult and it's actually quite, yeah, you can be proud of that because I struggle with that. Okay. Yeah. Yoga. Yeah. Made people happy. Wonderful. What else? Started exercising. Laksa. Oh, someone tried laksa. Laksa is really, really good. It tastes really nice. Forgiving. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a big deal for me. That word is actually one of my underutilized strengths that I'm working on. That ability to forgive. Good for you. Okay. Good. Bought new iPhone 15. Wow. All right. Congrats. Okay, so while you are answering, I'm just going to let you in why I asked this question as an icebreaker. That is because sometimes we are chasing the big, luxurious, grandiose dreams and goals, right? That we sometimes tell ourselves na, magiging happy lang ako if I achieve this big thing. Or magiging happy lang ako if I buy that house. Or if I, you know, reach this promotion that I've been working on for how many years. There is actually an if when situation for us to allow ourselves to be happy. But as you can see here in your answers, it matters to pay attention to our progress. I'm very mindful of using the word small because I don't want us to think that these things you're saying to me are small. They actually required energy and courage and effort. So I don't want to say it's small. I just want to say you have made progress. And it's really important for us to also recognize our own progress and give ourselves a pat on our shoulder and say, I'm actually capable. I made this happen, right? So that's one of the reminders I'd love for us to think about today, that you are capable, you are worthy, and you made progress. to be proud of. Awesome. Wonderful. Okay, answers are still popping up. And let's just take in a nice inhale and exhale. Kasi the third question that I will be asking is a little deeper than the first two questions. So I hope you are ready for that. I am going to stop sharing the Mentimeter for the meantime. And I love everyone to please settle down. So if you are busy with something else, maybe you can sit and focus first. And if you are, multitasking, this particular video that I'll be showing you will require your focus. So let's relax and let's pay attention. I'm going to be showing you a video, and here it is.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than
Okay. So that was the video. And this is the question that accompanies that one. Okay. So get ready for the question. Who is someone in your life na nagbigay ng positive influence for you? It can be your family member, your colleague, or maybe a stranger that was kind enough to you that you remember, no? I just want to allow everybody to take some few seconds, few minutes to think about who is someone in your life that positively influenced you. So we have a few answers already. You have sister, sons, wife, niece. We have pastor, daughters, girlfriend, foster mother, grandma, special someone, co-workers. We have Jesus, we have Lola, your head, colleague. Former HR manager, family and BTS. Yes, that can also be. Child, kids. Yeah, I understand that now. I just recently became a mom myself to a 1-year-old baby boy. And I realized that the love we can give is actually boundless and limitless. Okay, wonderful. Oh, we surpassed our 187 number na. We reached 200 responses. Hooray! Yeah, so wonderful. Thank you for watching the video and for participating. That was actually one of my favorite questions to ask because it allows us to think about the people who has made a positive influence on us, right? Parang they inspired us to be our best selves. They also encouraged us to try new things, and they also sometimes challenge us to try difficult things, no? And it's really inspiring to have these people in our lives. They're not always giving us pleasant interactions, no, kasi there will sometimes be quarrels, there will sometimes be differences in ideas, but the point here is that we have people in our lives who are special to us because they make us become better versions of ourselves, right? Yes, can you type 1 if you agree? Yeah. So I'm just gonna stop share. Okay. Yeah, see, a lot of you agree with that. They're not always pleasant. And that's the thing, because in our lives, if you see this picture, in our lives there are actually red dots. So what does these red dots represent? So these red dots represent negative influences, parang yung mga hindi masyadong magagandang influence sa ating buhay. Now, these red dots represent that. And there is also, of course, green dots. Teka lang. Let me just go and open the green dots. So there are also green dots. So these green dots represent positive influences, no, magagandang influence sa buhay natin. And in our life, there are both red dots and green dots, no? And the question here is, I just love for you to think about sa buhay nyo, ano yung mas marami? Mas marami bang red dots or mas marami bang green dots? What do you think? Ano yung mas marami sa buhay nyo, red dots or green dots? Some of us may say green, some of us may say red, some of us may say both. And that's actually no right or wrong answer here. My point here, why I actually showed the red dot and green dot, is that like the video, like your answers na may mga taong naka-influence sa inyo, you also have the power to influence other people around you, right? You have that capability. You have that innate power to influence those around you, your family members, your colleagues, wherever you are. You have the power to influence other people. And that is a powerful thing to behold, because our topic for today is actually one life influencing another. right? And having that courage to face that truth na meron kang kakayahan to influence other people is very important in laying the ground and the foundation for our talk and for our experience today. Bakit? Because the very reason why we sometimes feel awkward in making small talk kasi feeling natin parang we don't want to connect with that people, with that person, or parang you're hesitant to show a little bit of yourself to other people. But again, we have to go back to the core of why we're here. And that is to learn to have the courage and connect. Again, goes back to influence because we don't know who you are influencing by making that talk, by communicating with that person, by connecting with that person. So I hope that you are ready to start and embark on this journey that will be a little uncomfortable, but I promise you at the end of our experience today, you would have found a newfound courage to talk, communicate, and connect with the people around you. Even though you feel awkward, that's okay, but the courage, that's the key word. And that's what I will be equipping you with today. Okay? Yay! Sige. So, here. It is an obvious yet commonly underrated means of connection. As I mentioned earlier on, small talk, right? So, I'm not going to do Mentimeter for this one. Just maybe type it down on the chat na lang. Why do you think people dislike small talk? Why do you think you dislike it personally? If you do dislike small talk, bakit? Bakit ayaw nyo ng small talk? I think for me, if I were to answer that, kasi it's so it's so awkward. Like most of the time, people just talk about the weather. Like, oh, ang ganda ng weather ngayon. Oh, maulan ngayon. And then that's it, right? Parang parang I don't want to do shallow conversations like that. I want the deep conversations, right? But it's always starting with a small talk kasi it's informal, it's quick, and it doesn't necessarily have to have a specific topic. So ano yung mga reasons niyo? Not interesting, irrelevant, yes, tired, close-minded, sayang laway, tense, no energy. So I want you to actually have a look at your answers. Like most of the time, we equate small talk with negative impressions. Like, my energy is drained. I'm too tired to talk. This is just a waste of time, right? And you notice it yourself. Like you yourself are experiencing that shift in energy. Like when I ask you the question, you're like, oh my gosh, yeah, just the idea of having the small talk is so annoying already, right? You have that. So it's amazing just how our thought has the power to shift and switch our emotions from someone so excited for today to like hating small talk. So I'm just going to try to shift that again, a paradigm shift, and I hope my powers can do it. Umiiwas sa tanong, yes. Okay, those are very valid questions and it's normal. Why? Because we think that small talks have the reputation of being irrelevant, as you mentioned, right? But what if we can actually harness the underrated power of small talk? What if we can transform small talk into deep connection that can leave us feeling energized, that can make us feel connected with the other person so much so that we influence one another in a meaningful way? Would you like that? Would you like to learn how to do that? If you do, then give me a heart emoji. Heart emoji on the chat. Yes. Okay, great. If you are ready, then let's go. So here, Brene Brown, one of the researchers for shame and guilt, actually stated in her research that neurobiologically, connection brings meaning and purpose in our lives. So if we try to shift our paradigm into thinking that small talk, or rather conversations, are meaningful, then it can add more value into our lives rather than thinking like, nakaka-aksaya naman ng laway yung small talk, ganyan. Right? So we have to think that it's actually valuable to create that initial spark, to ignite that first flame of the chance that we have, right, to connect and bond with someone else. Kasi if we don't take the first step, or rather if we don't take that courage to communicate Even though if it's informal, then we already rob ourselves the chance of being inspired by each other, right? So the paradigm shift here is to treat small talk not as a nuisance, but as a source of gateway, or rather a gateway to connect with another person. Okay, so here I said that let's leverage and harness the underestimated power of small talk through the tools from positive psychology. So ano nga ba yung positive psychology? I believe you already have an idea of this, but I'd love to reiterate this one now. So positive psychology, first and foremost, is not the opposite of psychology. So you can see there's the word positive, right? So it doesn't mean that the other one is negative psychology. No. Positive psychology is actually a new science of well-being, of flourishing. It means to say that even though life is hard, even though we're faced with many different challenges, we still choose to wake up each day thinking that there are things we can do to alleviate our experiences. May kakayahan tayong baguhin kung ano man yung mga situation na meron tayo. We are able to equip ourselves with the needed tools for us to flourish, right? So there are a lot of ways to do that, and that is positive psychology. It's not, I repeat, it's not about being happy all the time. Happiness is an emotion and is under the umbrella of positive psychology, but it is not the main goal of positive psychology. Okay? Kasi you think of happiness as a cloud, parang ulap. And ulap just flows, nag-iiba-iba. And if we try to chase something as unattainable as a cloud, mapapagod lang tayo, kakahabol ng happiness. Like, I really want to be happy, but I can only be happy if I buy that house. We will never attain that certain happiness, right? But if we treat happiness as a data, like all the other emotions like anger or sadness or joy or whatever, these data tell us something about ourselves. If you're happy, it means to say that you experienced something that you gained, right? You gained an experience that made you feel inspired, for instance. Or if you're angry, parang may natapakan na prinsipyo that you find very valuable. That's why you're mad. So these data are telling us something. Now, I'd love for you to think about emotions that way. Hindi yung gano'n na, parang sumisigaw na siya, lumalabas na yung totoong color niya, totoong kulay niya. That's not the case, okay? This is a subtle but very powerful paradigm shift that I'm sharing with you all, to treat your emotions not something to get or to acquire or to have as a goal, but rather to serve as a data and let us know more things about ourselves. So that's the thing about positive psychology. It's about well-being, it's about flourishing, and it's not about happiness. No, hindi siya toxic positivity. Please be mindful of that. Okay? That's positive psychology is not toxic positivity. It's a branch of science that deals with flourishing. So here I placed in my highlighted in yellow that human goodness, or what we are good at, and excellence are as authentic as disease, disorder, and distress. Kasi we know of psychology as kind of like problem focused. Kung ano yung, for example, you have depression or a person has depression, right? You will be given medication or you will be given an intervention to cure that the cure whatever you're experiencing or going through, right? Curing, finding a cure for the problem. But positive psychology is actually in the preventive measure, like before we actually experience these situations or experiences, we're actually doing something to serve as a buffer against stress and disorders. Parang ganun siya. Okay, it serves as that. Okay, I hope that is clear. I hope I made myself clear na hindi toxic positivity ang positive psychology. So to add more depth to that conversation, it actually corrects the imbalance and challenge the pervasive assumptions of the disease model. So meaning to say na hindi lang pala palaging diseases and disorders ang kaya ni psychology. It's also about identifying what you are good at and leveraging on that so you can be flourishing, you can flourish as a human being. So the goal here is from happiness to flourishing. Okay. And for us to flourish, here are actually two very important key points. Number one, we should have the willingness to understand that there are no guarantees in life. And number two, the willingness to invest in a relationship that may or may not work. And this is where small talk comes in. You have no guarantee naman. We don't have any guarantee that the person we're communicating with will become our long lasting friend, right? No, 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 no. Or there's no guarantee that when we do small talk with someone else, they will become our lover or they will become our enemy, whatever. There's no guarantee at all. But we are still willing to make the effort to communicate with someone because we know and understand that connection is vital to our flourishing. Is it understandable? I hope it is, right? So it's actually that courage to do the first step, right, of communicating. So yun yung dalawang willingness that there are no guarantees and that the relationship may or may not work. But we still communicate nonetheless. So just to give you a bit of an example, I'm also on Instagram. Gab knows this one, I think, because we're book buddies. So here I posted a very short video, 4 seconds, and I placed this caption. POV, you have the desperate urge to talk to a stranger just because they are reading a book that you love. Meron bang nakaka-relate nito? Like, you saw someone reading your favorite book and then you just have that desperate urge to talk to them but you don't want to go to them kasi you're shy. um, yeah, someone said, yeah, of course. Did you know that this video had 1 million plays? Yeah, I'm a millionaire now. So it means to say that maraming nakaka-relate to our topic now. There are so many of us who find communicating and reaching out through conversations actually nakaka-awkward talaga, right? There, like, look at that number, 1 million plus, right? Us, we're just 1,000 here or something like that. Marami talagang nakaka-relate. And that's fine. That's normal. It's one of the experiences that we have as human beings. But again, we put our attention back into the things I mentioned. So that is to have the courage and we treat small talk as a gateway to further connect with other people. So that's the thing, right? It's a common humanity. It's a shared experience that many of us go through. It's called common humanity. Hindi ka nag-iisa. And there is comfort in knowing that. Okay, so here are some of the 3 gateways to positive introductions. I'm actually rebranding small talk into positive introductions. I'm not trying to change the meaning of small talk, but rather I'm adding more depth and more framework on how we can present ourselves when we are attempting to talk with someone else. Let's say there's a stranger or parang may colleague ka na hindi mo talaga kilala. So let's try to use positive introductions for that. So before I introduce what it's about, I'm just going to go through these 3 gateways. So first is lean into your discomfort. Wala talaga tayong choice, guys. We really have to lean into our discomfort. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng lean into your discomfort? It means to say that something that makes you feel awkward, you have to feel awkward talaga. You have to feel it, right? There's no other way through it. There's no medicine for it. There's no one-time, big-time solution to it. We really have to go through the messy, chaotic ways of connecting, and that is feeling awkward, feeling sweaty, feeling shy, but we have to lean into our discomfort, otherwise we won't be able to really flourish as we want, right? So secondly is be curious. So instead of thinking na ala baka i-judge ako or baka this person won't like me, try instead to be curious of that other person. Like, wow, I noticed that parang na-energize yung tao na to. Maybe I'd like to talk about that person with that, no? Parang, ganda ng smile niya. Parang I can start with that. You have to be in a space of curiosity, not from the space of judgment. I'll let that sink in. So speak from the vantage point of curiosity and not from judgment. So I also included that on the number 3. So speaking from the vantage point of learning, like what can I learn from this interaction instead of thinking na wala akong maaambag sa conversation na to, or I'm just like this, parang hindi ako worth it makausap ng taong to kasi napaka ano na niya, napaka successful na niyan. I'm just here at the bottom, right? Parang ganun. Instead of thinking that way, speak from the vantage point of learning, like, oh, I wonder what I can learn from this person or from this interaction, right? So these 3 gateways to positive introductions will help us, will nudge us, and will propel us to have a little bit of courage in communicating with other people, right? Okay. Sige. So para sa inyo, sa tatlong to, ano yung para sa inyo very, very top top priority? Lean into your discomfort? Is it be curious? Or is it speak from the vantage point of learning? Yes. So you have 2, you have 3. Different, no? Look at that. Look at the answers. It's different. All 3. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. All right. So, what are positive introductions? So, ladies and gentlemen, positive introductions is actually a unique way of connecting yourself with other people that focuses on your best self rather than the traditional way, na CV way. For example, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, right? Like, okay, MJ, introduce yourself. Parang nanginginig ka na. Ano yung sasabihin mo? Ano yung pwede mong ma-share? Ano yung what's the best thing to talk about yourself about, right? Like, hi, my name is MJ. I live in Cebu. That's it. Parang ganon. Parang CV way. And my work is a facilitator. Parang ganon. And that's the traditional way of talking, of communicating, right? We notice that. Do you notice that? That's how we communicate, and that's how we introduce ourselves to others. It's called traditional CV way. But positive introductions is different. It's about the strengths that you have. It's about what you're good at. It's about what's the one thing that you're proud of about yourself. Remember the 3 questions I asked you earlier on? Sino yung nakapa-inspire sa'yo? Ano yung na-achieve mo that you're proud of? That's a simple thing. Parang ganon, no? That's actually one of the positive introductions. So here, your best self. Ano ba yung best self? Sa positive psychology, we define your best self as a moment or experience in your life that made you feel courageous, brave, or anything that relates to your character's strength. So that's one of the examples. So I'm just going to give you an example of your best self. Parang ganito siya. So, hi, my name is MJ, and when I was at my best was when I was in Singapore, and I prepared for an event that I was going to facilitate, and they were a really big school in that country, right, in Singapore, and it's going to be facilitated by the directors and the teachers and the instructors. It's a big event, and I spent many days preparing for that. Like, I really prepared the introduction, the material, the debriefing. But during that day, the director went up to me and asked me, "Nasaan yung facilitator?" And sabi ko, "Hello, ako po yung facilitator nyo." And that person really, sinabi niya sa mukha ko na, "I don't want you. I want your boss kasi you're too young." Kasi they're seniors na eh. And that really broke my heart because, again, I prepared, and I also thought it really hurt my ego. Parang, ganun. But what I did was, I gave it my best. I gave it whatever I prepared. And I noticed that person who told me he didn't want me actually was smiling and laughing all throughout the day kasi whole day yung event. And at the end of the event, that guy told me that you did a good job. And that for me was my best self. I struggled that day, but I gave it my best, and I felt proud about myself. So how did you feel when I shared that? You also felt happy for me, I hope. Parang there's kind of connection, no, between us na kasi I shared that part about myself to you. So that is an example of your best self. I hope that's clear. Your best self is something that relates to maybe how you overcame a challenge or how you actually solved a problem and how you felt about it. Parang ganon siya. So let's do a bit of an exercise. Maybe 5-7 minutes exercise lang. I hope that's clear. Okay, so the exercise is this. Okay, think of a time when you were at your best. Make sure your story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I'm just going to give you maybe 5 minutes to write down your bullet points on your notes. And then I'm going to invite, if you're ready, to share. So this is your time to practice the small talk. It's not even the small talk, it's the positive introduction exercise. So let's see if you will find the courage to raise your hand and volunteer. And then I'm probably gonna give you a prize later, if just one. Okay, so that's the short exercise. So try to write the bullet points. Think of a time when you were at your best. So make sure your story has a beginning, a middle, and an ending. Okay, so 5 minutes starts now. And if you want to be the one to share, you can unmute yourself and then just let me know. Kasi I will be giving the brave soul a gift. So since I like books, I will be giving a book. Sige. So 5 minutes ha. I will resume at what 402 441 402. Yeah, 402. Okay. Let's see. If you have any questions, you can feel free to chat and then you can also unmute yourself. I'm just going to play a bit of music. So let's resume at 402. You can also, drink water, hydrate yourself, share sound. Oops, sorry. When were you at your best? Ano yung time na yun? Anong nangyari? I don't think we need the audio. I'll not play the audio anymore. Okay, last 2 minutes, or if not, if you are ready, then you can raise your hand and unmute yourself. Who wants to share? Sino yung gustong mag positive introduce ng self nila this afternoon? Oh, and I'm just going to share the prize for the brave. The brave soul will be receiving this book. It's called Mindset, The Psychology of Success, How We Can Learn to Fulfill Our Potential by Dr. Carol Dweck, one of my favorite books. Yeah, raise your hand so we can unmute you, sabi ni Gabby. So I will also need the details of the person who will be receiving this book. It's actually my second copy. I also gave the other copy to another person who was brave to share her roadblocks. That was the topic. Okay, last 1 minute. And then if nobody would share, I hope there's someone who will share kasi the topic is about having that courage. Yeah, if nobody would share, I'm like, oh, this is the speaker is not effective. Sige. All right, come on. Who wants to share? Can I share in written or speak? Oh, it would be great if you can speak kasi we would love to hear about your answer. If you have your answer, you can also type it down on the chat, but I really want to hear you. What to share again? So what will you share about is the time when you were at your best. Yun lang. Ano yung nangyari? Parang yung example ko kanina. Sige. Who is going to be the brave soul? Hindi parang brave soul. Who wants to share? Yun lang talaga. Okay, so we have Victoria de Guzman. Si Ma'am Victoria. Oh, you can also Ma'am Victoria actually type me first, right? So,
Yeah. Hi.
hello, good
Hello,
afternoon.
good
Where are you
afternoon.
po?
Ah,
Can
going.
we pin her?
Can you hear me? Hi,
Yes,
Miss.
loud and clear.
Okay.
Ah, here. Okay. Okay, do you have a video po ba?
Yes. Shy type. Yeah, sige.
Thank you. Oh, there you are. Okay po, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, good afternoon. And good afternoon, everyone. Hope I'll be able to say this quickly. So the start is I'd like to share with the group. Yeah, let me fix this. Let me share with the group how I started with my career in HR, my first job. During my time, so I'm going to reveal my age in this story, short story. So at the time, we don't have any practicum, okay? So it's not required in the school. So, but I applied for a job as a recruitment officer. I had a chance to pass the first and second interview, and during my final interview, the owner of the company, who is a lawyer, asked me one question. And at the time, I was just fresh graduate and no experience at all. And he asked me this: "Do you know how to interview?" No. Do you have any experience in giving exams, psychological exams? And I said, none. So what are you going to do here? I said, I want to learn. I don't have those exposure. The only thing I have was part of our course and just a brief exposure in giving psychological exam. But I'm willing to learn, I said. So I was kind of bold at that time and eager to have a job. And the owner said, at that time, contractual work is still legal. Okay, many, many years ago. So he said, are you willing to work as a contractual employee? Oops. So I have to think about that because majority of my batchmates were already probationary, and I was thinking that should I accept it or not? But being true to what I said yes, I'm willing because I want to learn. Okay, so he took me in, and to make the long story short, I worked with the company for about 2 or 3 years and became an account officer, wherein I'm handling some accounts. So after that 3 years, I was so happy and pretty much glad that I took the challenge, even if at the very beginning it doesn't look attractive to me. But what I gained from that experience is that you just have to be brave and believe in yourself. And yeah, I was able to learn how to interview people and give psychological exams. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ma'am Victoria. And
Thank
also, we
you.
can we give her a nice heart react on Zoom? And I can actually hear the strength for love of learning, because even though that it was a situation where you could have ano, declined it, you actually said yes to the challenge and you learned the ropes, and that was impressive and inspiring at the same time. So thank you. Please message Gabby or Daffy for your details, because you'll be receiving this book. Carol Dweck, congratulations and thank you very much. So that was a really, really good example of positive introductions. Bakit? Kasi it was meaningful, it was personal, and it's not shallow. Like what we're used to with the small talk, right? So it's really a beautiful experience when we're able to harness the underrated power of small talk that way. Na may matutunan tayo, we will get to connect with each other. And now we have this new found connection with Mom Victoria already. Like, she's so inspiring, right? So whenever you are in the listening side, whenever you're not the one talking, please listen for strengths. Like the example I did earlier on, right? Like when I pointed out, Ma'am Victoria, you really displayed love for learning, and I can see that, I can feel that in the way you talk. When the story is finished, help the speaker savor the experience rather than steal the limelight na, ako nga eh, parang ganon, di ba? We're used to that. So that's a no-no. We help the person savor the experience, like, oh, how did it feel for you? Parang ganun siya. And then you can also try phrases like, I was really in awe when you mentioned that even though your peers are already probationary and you're entering a contractual kind of work, you still had the courage to say yes to the challenge. Parang ganun siya. Okay? So if you're finding yourself to be on the listening side of the conversation, these are the three things to remember for you to also have an energizing experience as a listener, okay? Or as part of the conversation. So again, thank you for your participation. Strengths. Ano ba yung strengths? Miss MJ keeps talking about strengths. So, strengths are actually focusing on what is right about us, what is working, and what is strong, rather than the usual way na parang yung taong yan parang napaka-negative ng aura, parang ganun, no? Which is what we are avoiding. And then the second thing is about strengths. Our areas of greatest potential are in our areas of greatest strengths. Yan yung ano yung character strengths. So one more information about that. Our character strengths are actually influenced by family, community, society, and other factors. Now, the thing with character strengths is they are malleable. They can be honed. They can be acquired through effort and practice. So the source of that is right here. Okay, so more information about our character strengths para we have a foundation, no, working knowledge about it. So one of the character strengths tests that you can take for free is the viacharacter.org. So you can do your strengths test for free para alam nyo kung ano yung top strengths nyo, ano yung underutilized strengths nyo, ano yung middle strengths nyo. So they are habitual actions, they are trait-like, they are outcome-based, most importantly, they are measurable, they are real. So ano yung mga examples ng character strengths? We have love for learning. Hindi nyo alam bakit attend kayo ng seminar, parang enjoy na enjoy kayo, right? It must be your love for learning is one of your top strengths. Bakit kaya ang galing nyo mag-budget? Right? Maybe one of your character strengths is temperance or prudence, right? Parang ganon. There are a lot of areas in our lives that will make sense if we know what our character strengths are. So, ano yung benefits if we leverage on our strengths? Not only we can connect with other people through positive introductions, but also they help add perspective in our lives. Parang, ang bored ko na sa job ko, how can you make it more exciting? Try to look at your strengths, right? Secondly, it provides a sense of direction. No, parang hindi mo na alam ano yung next na tatahakin mo sa buhay mo. If you're just a new mom like me and you're unsure what to do next, try to look at your strengths. Maybe you're good at baking, right? Maybe you're good at, appreciating beauty and excellence. You're good at curating art, for example. It helps to develop confidence, adds with psychological well-being or fulfillment. You feel more fulfilled. It also adds to subjective well-being or adds value to our happiness and gives us positive energy. So parang kanina, no, when Ma'am Victoria shared, there was positive energy radiating. Like you're just really inspired by this story. There are also important things to note about our strengths because there are overuse and underuse. Kapag na-overuse yung strength, for example, curiosity is one of the character strengths. We lose perspective and we get lost in the strength. Anong mangyayari? We become nosy if we're being too curious. Kaya we have to be mindful. And then we have also here underuse of strength. Parang autopilot na lang tayo. Walang awareness and there's loss of efficacy and courage. So the right balance is that it actually makes you feel alive. It makes you feel and say that this is my best self. Parang gan. Okay. And here, management of overuse and underuse of strengths is underuse, never a master, always a student. Make sure to regularly check in on your strengths. And if managing the overuse, make sure to look for feedback, right? So parang ganun siya. And just to maybe give you a story also is that I was actually a participant of the Young Minds Academy. That's the YMA of the Ramon Aboitiz Foundation. And it's an 8-month leadership program. So finally, it was our graduation day. There were plenty of us sat in a plenary. I was sat on the second row, and on the first row there were gentlemen, no, malalaki, and I was actually playing with my pin. Parang I was playing with my pin and nahulog yung lock. So parang ang nangyari is I was playing with it, nahulog yung lock, and then the person who is sitting in front of me noticed that I was fidgety. So he asked, ano yung nangyari? Sabi ko, nahulog yung lock ng pin ko. Tapos he actually helped me pick it up from the floor. Like he really bent down and tried to search for my lock. And he picked it up and then he looked up to me and say, here you go. Here's your pin lock. I said, oh, thank you very much, sir. Tapos the MC said, okay, let's welcome the president of Ramon Aboitiz Foundation Incorporated, Mr. John Ramon Aboitiz. So the person who helped me pick up the pin lock, who made that conversation with me, had that connection with me, stood up to the stage. He was actually the president of the organization. He already passed away. God bless his soul. He's just an inspiration to me. And I was so shocked. Like a person as successful as him made that connection with a nobody then, like me. That was actually a very, very inspiring moment. So then the MC also mentioned, like, okay, let's welcome the recipient of the John Ramon Aboitiz Medal of Excellence, Miss Mary Jed. So I stood up. And that's why his face is so surprised. Right there. Sabi niya, oh, ikaw pala yun. Oh, yes, it's me, the one who dropped her pin lock. Yeah, I'm the recipient of your leadership medal. So what's the point of the story? The point of the story is that whenever we try to connect with other people, even if it's a very brief moment, we have the power to influence each other. So have the courage to communicate, have the courage to lean into your discomfort and harness the power of small talk. Don't let it be that annoying short thing. Let it be a profound experience where you leave the conversation feeling energized, you leave the conversation feeling refreshed and empowered. So again, with the quote, I will leave you all. Using our strengths is the smallest thing we can do to make the biggest difference. And I hope that this session actually made a difference in your life. I hope that you have found the courage to try and build more meaningful connections with one another. So thank you so much. And I pass back the floor to Miss Gabby and Daffy.
Thank you. Hi, MJ. Ayan, I think ang ganda. Ako din yung hindi na makapagsalita because I really enjoyed the session. I was also very engaged. Iniisip ko, paano ko nga gagamitin yung best self introduction? That's actually a very good conversation starter. And let me just share with you that I think this is a very good way to end our webinar series for February. Kasi alam mo yung, I think a lot of people want to connect. They just don't know how to start. So I hope that what you shared with us this afternoon is something that everyone can take a cue from. Ayan o, we're getting a lot of comments and greetings in the chat box. So I hope that you also get to savor this win again, MJ. So while we're waiting, I think Mary was already able to post our pigeonhole. Okay, so hold on. Let me just flash the pigeonhole slide so that you will be able to think of your answers. Or if there's any one of you who wants to ask MJ directly para i-practice natin yung speaking with each other. Okay, so here you go. So you can just quickly scan the QR code that you can see on the screen, or just go to pigeonhole.at and enter the passcode PW Small Talks, or just click on the link that Mari will be sharing in our chat box. Ayan, Daffy, maybe you'd love to share your insights as well. Tungkol dun sa, alam mo, MJ, si Daffy din, gusto niyang mag-share kanina ng positive introduction. So I think this is the right time na, Daffy, if you're comfortable, you can do so. While we're waiting for people to put their
Yes, go ahead.
Share lang din na while listening to the talk, I just realized na grabe super powerful pala talaga ng small talks. Kasi ako, nag-ready na actually ako nang sasabihin ko dun sa positive introduction. Sabi ko, hi, I'm Daffy, a fresh, not so fresh graduate of psychology. Tapos, yung sabi ko na-realize ko yung super powerful talaga ng small talks kasi I wouldn't be an intern of positive workplaces if I didn't start having, yung hindi ako nag-start with small talk with Kevin and Nikki dun sa isang conference na na-meet ko sila, and I was alone during that conference. So parang in-adopt ako ng positive workplaces noon. And then, yun, in-invite nila ako to join their internship program. So yeah, that was parang, feeling ko nag-align, parang, di ba may term na nag-align lahat ng stars? Yung time na yun, feeling ko talaga nag-align lahat ng stars na yun para meet ko talaga yung positive workplaces and experience being an intern, tapos ngayon as a host sa nilang webinar. So, ayun.
That's
Very
wonderful. I can
Yeah.
actually sense the energy radiating from Miss Daffy. Like when she was trying to remember, tapos yung words na nag-align lang stars, parang it really is a testament that how much you wanted this and it was given to you because you had the courage to reach for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Daffy, for sharing that story. I can still remember it just like yesterday. Alam mo, MJ, sa Strengths Conference din namin siya na-meet. Kaya sobrang, sobrang aligned talaga yung interest as well as yung passion and skills ni Daffy in our program. Ayan, so we already have some questions. MJ, I'm wondering if you want to answer the top voted one first, or if there's anything that you're seeing on the screen that you already want to answer.
Yes, I'd like to address the first one, how to introduce your best self without sounding arrogant. So, one of the first impressions, or rather our, how do you say, the way we treat our best self can sound arrogant because of sometimes our culture. Like our culture suppresses that nasa-suppress kasi ng culture natin yung our ability, it suppresses our strength, our skills, kasi we have to be humble all the time, right? Like that's how Filipino culture is. Like if you are proud of your accomplishments, you are sometimes referred to as napaka, in Bisaya, hambugiro na kay ka, or you're very arrogant already, right? You have to be humble. But here's also another paradigm shift in positive psychology, that when we are expressing our best self, we are speaking from the vantage point of, again, curiosity, right? I mean, you're curious about the other person. You're curious about your own capability to express yourself. So, it takes practice. It takes feedback kung ano yung right amount of best self na pwede natin or comfortable natin na i-share. It's not right away na parang it will be accepted by the people around us kasi not everyone is aware na meron palang positive introductions, or not everyone is aware of what positive psychology is about. But we're making the steps little by little so that hopefully we become a community where we are accepting of our best selves, not as arrogance, but as power that we harness within ourselves. So how can we introduce our best self first? You maybe try to test the water first, like for instance, start with, oh, I noticed that that you were really interested with this. Maybe you can tell me more about it. Parang you be curious about the other person first, and then if you find that opportunity to share about yourself, that's the time to do so. Parang ganun siya. The flame has already been ignited. We don't jump into the water thinking that, oh, this person will understand where I'm coming from. Well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. That's what I'm trying to say. I hope that's okay. I can talk about it for hours. but let's choose another question naman. Sige.
Daffy will read one from the chat box.
Okay.
I have
Yeah,
an
we
interesting.
have here from RG Bison. They said, I'm a branch head, 33 years old, naturally talkative with a good sense of humor, which most people notice. However, when it comes to interacting with superiors or those in higher positions at work, I become noticeably silent, a trait my boss has also observed. In conversations, I tend to respond with only yes or no or very short answers. What should I do?
I think the very first question to ask is not what you should do, but what do you want to happen, right? Because if parang hindi ka pa decided ano yung gusto mong mangyari, and then I give you an answer about what you should do, parang baka hindi mag-match. So first things first, I'd like for you to think, ano ba yung gusto mong mangyari? Do you want to change the perception of your boss towards you? Do you want to be more the funny side to your boss? Ano yung gusto mong mangyari? If you have found the answer already, then maybe the next step to do is try to work on that. Like, for instance, if you want to appear funny to your boss, maybe try to approach them in a way that you would approach your colleagues, because they are also your colleagues, right? Your boss. It's just that there's a barrier called the position. But if we look at them beyond that, they're still human beings like you, like us. So if, for instance, the situation changed na parang wala na kayo sa office and then you're just, maybe drinking, having fun, doing team building, then you become more comfortable, right? Kasi wala na yung wall that separates you from them, right? So parang yun yung one of the ways you can approach it. But if you want to change the boss's perspective towards you, maybe try to think also why. Kasi if you're just in a facade lang na part, is it's not gonna be sustainable. So I can't give you a very solid answer for that. So I think start with what do you want first rather than what you should do about it. Parang ganun. I hope I understood your question though.
Yeah, so we hope you found that helpful, RG. And siguro ang kasunod na tanong about it, MJ, is what if there are people who are introverted or people who generally feel anxious whenever they initiate small talk? And nagre-result na lang siya sa, ay, wag na nga lang. Diba? Do you have any advice or maybe practical tips on what they can do little by little to overcome this?
I would always say that the best yardstick in making decisions is regret. So if you do not want to regret anything, you must find the courage to talk and connect. But if you want at home, you'll be thinking, oh, sana I approach that person, or sana, what could happen, no, if I had just been brave enough to talk. Parang wala kayong questions na ganyan if you have that courage to just try and talk, right? Your regret is the best yardstick. So always think about whether you will regret or not. Then you may find somewhere along those lines the courage to actually talk and have that chance within yourself to try. Parang ganon. I will always say that kasi I have had a lot of chances I missed. And I'm regretting kasi hindi ko kinausap yung taong gusto kong kausapin. Like, I saw someone who inspired me. Parang, titingnan ko na lang siya. Tapos nawala na yung chance, hindi ko na siya na-meet. Parang your favorite author or your favorite artista that you wanna say hi, or maybe your colleague na naka-inspire sa inyo. Then you will just have separate paths na walang connection, na baka need din niya na sabihan na, oh, you inspired me, para mabuhayan siya ng loob, right? These are very very simple but impactful interactions na we regret because we don't feel courageous enough to talk. So again, regret is the best yardstick to measure whether or not we make specific actions or stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes, and I think a lot of people are appreciating what you've been sharing with us. Michelle says, thank you for this informative and really practical webinar. And ayan, sabi ni Alessia, ika nga nila, don't reject yourself first.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Maybe we can answer just one more question. Do you want to choose? I'll scroll down. Or do you want to take the top voted one
What's
again?
the there's a book question. So I'm biased with the books. So
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead,
okay.
MJ.
Let me just get the book so you have an idea how it looks like, right?
Ayan, do we also have any bookworms in the house or those who want to start
Yeah.
reading books? Ito na yon. This is
Ito
your
na yon. So this is the book that I will be recommending. This is called Self-Compassion by Dr. Kristen Neff. It's actually a book about how we can be kinder to ourselves and how we can look at our suffering objectively as though we are our own friend. Kasi doing small talk, these are very excruciating to introverted people. Napakahirap talagang gawin ng small talk for people who are not used to it. And I understand that. That's why we develop our courage little by little. It's not like magically alam nyo na agad how. It takes baby steps. So one of the ways on how you can learn more courage is by practicing self-compassion. Parang yung gist ng book nito is all about, for instance, what's the first thing you ask your friend if they're not feeling okay? Parang, oh, how are you feeling? Right? We're speaking in a very gentle voice. But if we ourselves make mistakes, parang ang gago mo talaga, wala ka talagang kwenta. Parang ganun yung inner voice na nagpe-play if we make the mistake, right? So this book is all about how we can be our own friend. Kasi kaninong kamay ba ang available if all else fails? It's ours. Right? So we have to be our own friend. So that's the book is Self-Compassion, The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself by Dr. Kristen Neff. So in our journey to become our more courageous and authentic selves, I really recommend this book. Yeah.
Thank you, MJ. We also love that book. Our co-founder, Nikki, also really is an advocate of self-compassion. And we've also talked about that. And palaging, ano siya, it's a concept na people are really hungry to hear about. But
Yeah.
at the same time, alam mo yun, parang sila rin, hirap silang i-practice siya. So we're all together in the same boat. And we hope that you also get to read that book. Super, it contains really practical tips, no, MJ?
Yes, so true.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think I'm just being mindful of the time. It's already 4:30. Maybe we can, if you're still available, we'll just give out the evaluation form. And then maybe we can check out some of the other questions pa in our pigeon.
Oh, I have to leave by 4:30 also
Ay,
kasi I have
okay, okay.
others.
Sige,
Yes.
sige. So, oh, sorry. Okay, we'll just send it with you and then maybe you have an opportunity to answer it in your
Yes.
social so that they can also access those things with you as well.
Will do.
So let me just share my screen again. We're going to present our certificate of appreciation. Thank you so much, MJ, for our sharing or our session this afternoon. I think it's a different flavor, and our participants really needed to have that exposure in creating small talk. So, Daffy, would you like to present our certificate of appreciation to our guest speaker this afternoon?
Be honored. So this certificate of appreciation is issued to Mary Jed A. Busa, RPM GDAPP, for generously providing their time and expertise as a resource speaker for the webinar, The Underestimated Power of Small Talks, How to Have More Energizing and Meaningful Conversations, held on the 28th of February 2024, signed by John Baluyot, Chief Enabling Officer of Positivity and Productivity in the Workplace Incorporated, and Nikki Vergara, Chief Wellbeing Officer of Positivity and Productivity in the Workplace Incorporated.
Yes, thank you so
Thank
much,
you. Thank you, everybody. And
MJ.
if you can also check my page, it's called Heart to Speak kasi I post there my videos also. It's content that may be helpful to you. So I hope you can check it out also and leave your review or recommendation. I would really appreciate that with all my heart. I need that also to remain inspired. Anyway, thank you, Gav and Daffy and the team for having me for Positive Workplaces and Heart to Speak collaboration. It's my honor. And God bless everybody who has attended this event. And I'll see you again next time. Thank
Yes.
you so much.
Thank you, MJ. We're sharing the Heart to Speak link in the chat box. So please feel free to give it a thumbs up, follow the page, and give MJ a review or a shout out in her messages. Thank you,
Thank
MJ.
you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. So we have concluded our last webinar for this. Again, I think Baby Sage is there. He's awake. Ayan. So while we're enjoying Sage
Bye.
there, yeah, let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon to discuss building emotionally intelligent leaders. We've taught you how to give feedback, how to design positive workplaces with empathy, and now you all learned how to make small talk or more meaningful conversations. So just a quick shout out, please do follow us on LinkedIn. We've been posting our thought leadership posts there, and we'd also love to build that community with you. You can also follow us on YouTube if you want to review some of our old webinars. We've uploaded everything there, and we also have our Instagram page. So you can just click on the links that you will see in the chat box, or you can scan the QR codes that you can see on the screen. And now for the most awaited part of our session, we're now flashing the QR codes to the evaluation forms for you on the screen. So you can just open your camera, scan the QR code, or click on the link that Mary will be sharing in our chat box to answer the evaluation form. Please make sure to check if that's the correct evaluation form, if you entered the correct email address, as well as if you entered your correct name, because whatever you type, that's where we will be sending, and that's what will appear on your certificates. Okay?
I'll let that sink in.
Hold on. Mali pala yung YouTube yung nabuksan ko. Okay, so if you have any more questions, maybe you can just share it in the chat box or even in our pigeonhole. Please do give us your honest feedback kung ano ba yung mga topics na gusto nyong i-discuss natin in the coming months. Dahil ilan pa, Daffy, may 10 buwan pa tayo in 2024. So we still have
Ang pwedeng
around
matutunan.
oh, meron pa tayong around 30 webinars. So do let us know if there are any topics you'd love for us to cover. Or kung kayo mismo, if you want to use the platform, kung gusto nyong kung gusto nyo kayo yung mag-facilitate ng webinar, please do send us an email or send us a message on Facebook or on LinkedIn, and we'll chat with you. Kaming apat din yung makikita nyo so that we can frame your webinar into the themes that we will be releasing for this year. Okay, so we'll leave the room open for around 6 minutes